my amazing channel. So today I'm shooting with my camera, with my front camera. I've never done it before, so I'm hoping that it's gonna come out really nice, because I really want to see myself when I'm talking, because I don't have the camera that you see, that working camera. So I'm hoping this is gonna come out really good for you guys. But I want this video to be very casual, very chill, very chit-chatty, but at the same time I want it to be very informative. I want at least one person out there in the world to get something out of this. I'm doing this video as well because I've gotten so many questions on Instagram regarding this, and I've seen that the people do have a little bit of an interest in this, right? So we have, right, I've written a few things. This is my journal, guys. It's Utukwaya. Like you see, I love writing in Utukwaya so much, more than like the cute, I don't know, there's something that says I'm at school and I'm serious, and there's some seriousness that comes with it, right? Anyways, I did write down a few tips that I want to give anyone who's living in a small house or a small apartment. I know when I was living in my when I was sharing an apartment, it was small, but I was still sharing it, right? So essentially our spaces are not that big. Even now that I've moved into my own house, it's still considered small. It's big for me alone, but I mean, it's small. And I think also the idea of, like, you know, mansions and bigger houses, that's what luxury and, you know, expensive and, you know, the whole lax life is. So I think, you know how mansions are, when you get inside a mansion, you're not feeling good to, oh my gosh, I'm poor. Nobody gets into a mansion and feel like they're poor. And I think it's because of that, the space that you have, you know, it feels abundant, right? And that's where the luxury feel comes from. And I think also even us with small houses and small apartments, we do want that feeling, right? Even me in my house, I want that feeling of, you know, making my space look a little bit bigger, so that we can, you know, we can achieve that luxurious grand feel, right? So a few things that I've done around my house to have that feel, to make my house and my space feel a little bit bigger, feel lax and I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram, you know that, or even on TikTok, you know, I don't buy from the expensive shops. I don't have expensive stuff, but I have beautiful stuff. So and I've intentionally also bought things. The more and more I learn about interior design, I've bought things intentionally to make my space look grand and luxurious and big at the same time, right? Ready? Number one, that to make our houses look and feel the way we want, we need to buy more stuff, but sometimes is to work with what you have. So the first tip is keep everything organized and clean. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you know I'm always cleaning. People are always like, oh my word, in your house is spring day every day. So I'm always cleaning, and this is such an important part of maintaining your home. And this is what I've learned as well, Witty. The most important part of maintaining your home, especially inside the interior of the home, is to keep it organized and keep it clean. I've said this to all my clients that I've on my consultations. You need to make sure that your house is always clean and organized, because sometimes your house is not small, it's just cluttered. There's just like a lot of things that are not organized, that are everywhere. If you do that, just start with that today. That does not require any money. You just need to make sure that everything in your house and stays where it belongs, right? Keep your house organized all the time and clean. Guys, a clean home, we always want to buy more stuff. Like, just clean what you have at the moment right now, you know. Make sure it's clean and make sure it's organized, and that alone makes your space feel big, because you know that are everywhere. You need to open up spaces, and I've said this to my clients as well. For example, I just want to make an example. For my kitchen counters, I keep them as minimal as possible, organized as possible, because I'm trying to not have clutter in there, right? Because my kitchen is small. By ufaka into as needs, putting a lot of small stuff, that makes it feel closed up and makes it feel cluttered. So I always make sure you'll never see my toaster on top of my counters. You'll never see my blender on top. And I always say this to my clients, we know you have the Smeg toaster. We know you have the blender. We know you have them. We don't need to see them, right? So you need to really minimize and organize what's on top of your counters, and that alone can make your kitchen feel just a little bit bigger and not cluttered and dark and small. right? And obviously always keep your house clean. Always keep your house clean, okay? As much as you can. For me, I clean my house most of the time, but every now and then I do call Mama Veronica to come help me and clean the house, because sometimes I'm just lazy and tired and too busy, right? Because I'm doing a lot of things. But most of the time, 90%, I clean my own house. So if you can't clean your own house, look at the option of finding someone to come help you, even if it's once a week, to clean your house. Or you make it a point yourself, the first thing you do in the morning before you even brush your teeth is make sure you clean your house, or before you go to sleep, clean your house so that you wake up in a clean home. That's number one. Number two, it's painting on the walls, right? So when I go to consultations with my client, the first thing I look at is the paint on the wall, because it can be something as small as the paint in your wall that is making your house feel so dingy and dull, right? So I always say, can we paint, right? Because I know just what paint, just a few coats on your wall can make a huge difference in your space. For example, my house, when I bought this house, it was gray. It had this color, I don't know what that color is, like a grayish color, right? That I did not even this gray, like another weird gray, right? And I did not like that color because it made my house feel very clustered and very dark and very small, right? And literally one of the first investments that I did when I moved into this house was paint the entire house white, and immediately that elevated the house. And the house looks bigger because it's brighter. And what you need to know, every time you buy stuff in your house, or when you're thinking interior design, lighter colors bring the feeling of expansion, right? It feels a little bit bigger, right? Anything that light can bounce and reflect in and not absorb, it makes the space, it expands whatever the surface is. You get that? So that's the first thing I do. I'm not saying everyone needs to paint their walls white, because I know sometimes you have kids and white gets dirty very easy. Just go for a lighter color. Light gray is really beautiful. Just make sure you go for the lighter colors. It can be like a light cream, a light beige, a light gray, a white, anything that's very, very light. Then the third thing that I do and I've done in my house is make sure that as in all the rooms there is a mirror, right? My bedroom has mirrors. Kitchen, when you get inside my kitchen, the first thing you see is a mirror. I know there's a feng shui vibe around that, but yeah. The kitchen or like hallway has a mirror. Living room has a mirror. Bed, like you need to make sure ukuthi ufaka mirrors as much as in many places in your house as possible, especially if they will be facing the window somehow, so that all that natural light kind of bounces off, because mirrors have the reflective qualities, so the natural light is gonna bounce off very nicely onto your mirror, and then it's gonna give that feeling of openness and airiness that you want, and that illusion that the whole space is bigger. So whatever you do, make sure that in each and every room in your house you invest in a mirror, right? And make sure that the mirror is not hidden in a corner somewhere. It's somewhere where the natural light can bounce off, so that it gives that feeling of airiness and openness and a bigger space. The next one, right, is curtains. Curtains are very, 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 very important. So I always say to my clients as well, make sure that your curtain rails are as close to the ceiling as possible, because what that does is give the illusion that you have taller walls, which does give that illusion that we're in a mansion, luxurious, grand, expensive, right? So it gives that illusion that you have taller walls or taller ceilings, right? So always make sure that your curtain rails are as close as possible to the ceiling, right? And also make sure that your curtains go from the ceiling and then they kiss the floor. They don't just slip on the floor, they kiss the floor. They're just floating there. And I always say, make sure your curtains are gracious. When you enter a house and you see like curtains just graciously around the window or the frame of the window, it looks amazing. We're blocking the natural light that's coming through the window. The whole point, we have windows in our house houses is to bring that natural light inside, bringing the outside inside. So when your curtains is in the way, and you literally you're blocking the natural light, what's the point of having the windows, right? So always make sure that your curtains are literally on the sides outside of the frame of the window. Got that? Okay, and the last thing that I've done that I'm gonna share with you, and that I've done in my house as well, is sliding doors, right? I've made sure my wardrobes have sliding doors. This was very intentional because I knew my rooms are not that big. So this is also just like logic if you think about it. If you have your wardrobes and you open your doors like this, once that door is open, it takes up space, right? But if you have sliding doors, literally they don't take up any space, right? So just make sure that is just another trick. You have sliding doors where possible and as much as possible, so that it does not take up space. And I've seen sometimes like your bed will be so close to the wardrobe and you could barely even open the thing, or if you open the door of your wardrobe, literally touches the bed, right? If you have that situation, just try and invest in sliding doors. That way all of that space between the bed and the wardrobe is going to be available to you. You get that? That is also another thing, because sliding doors save up space as much as possible. Remember, we're small houses, so we're trying to make them feel grand and big and luxurious. So yeah, those are just a few things that I've done in my house that have made a big difference. When you come inside my house, you won't feel like you're in a clustered or a small space. It will feel very grand and very big. And there's a lot of tips and tricks, interior design tips and tricks that people do or use or apply that actually make their spaces look bigger. Those are the ones that I can just share with you right now. I hope you've learned something from this. You're gonna apply some of these things. You're gonna think about them, research if you want as well. But those are the things that I've seen in my house that have made a lot of difference, and I recommend them to my clients as well. And I always like look at doing this and see the results yourself, right? So I hope we all don't feel like we live in small spaces after this. I hope we all consider investing in doing all these small things so that our houses feel a little bit bigger, so we can all feel like we live in mansions or in bigger spaces. So if you've learned anything, please drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about these interior design tips, and if you have more of your own, share with us. We can all learn from each other. Other than that, I love you and appreciate you for being here. I will see you next time.